Where the bloody hell is my earphones?
Round 7, YCS Providence, Rhode Island. Nothing gets me more excited than when two titans in the game take each other on at the highest level of YCS, and it looks like Takeout's going to start with flawless. Very interesting here. I wonder if this point is you're not one talent. Yeah, the one talent, are you really respecting it that much? You didn't want to wait for it?
Yeah.
So good that
You should always respect talent.
Could be the case here, but the bonfire is Carl's going to add extra zeal. Now with the knowledge, we saw a lot of little charming.
Welcome back.
Not what you want to see when you're going first, but the extra zeal.
The only way to play Perulia is to do it in the draw.
Very well.
Round 1 at least.
Is there anything else?
I think the decision they made have lack of full harvest in your hand and
No, but yeah.
Be careful on your journey.
But if you know your biggest fear, they will be the game will end. They can put a lot of damage out very quick. That is for sure. And I'm just going to follow the next sword with the summon of Ice Ryzeal. That's going to show summon a monster from the deck. This is going to give Tavion his first card to be drawn from that Mulcharmy Fuwalos.
Interesting choice to even go for it in this position. He didn't have to summon Ice to extend it this way, but we can set up the Star Ryzeal now.
Star Ryzeal, brand new secret rare out of Alliance Insight. It's going to be able to set a Ryzeal Speller Trap onto the special summon. He's going to set Ryzeal Cross and activate it.
Yeah, he's going to flip it up immediately. No point setting it down here.
Alright, let's see where he goes next. He knows he's going to have to at least give Tavion one more draw. Let's see if he goes for Duo Drive or Detonator.
I want to go fight this guy.
Straight into the Detonator, so another draw here for Tavion.
Detonator with the Eclipse Twins, with the Eclipse Twins is not live. There is no other Xyz monster that is usable, so we're going to have to give another draw here. Is that going to be Baguska? I imagine Baguska is the one if you're trying to survive the turn. Oh no, it's going to be Duo Drive here. Okay.
But I do like that he is showing off what Alliance Insight did to change the Ryzeal strategy. A lot of times you're going to be able to access that Ryzeal Cross from the new Ryzeal, Star Ryzeal, with before you even go into Duo Drive, so you can almost guarantee that you're going to get to be able to resolve that effect. As long as you can avoid something like infinite impermanence.
Yeah, but I mean at that point, at least you already have Cross and Detonator, right?
True.
And impermanence on the Duo Drive there is not going to the Detonator.
So yeah, really extended the plays with that Star Ryzeal.
I mean, this gives you a little bit more flexibility, right? If you have access to Cross outside of Duo Drive and you can still resolve Duo Drive, that means you can search some, you know, potentially win more cards, like that Ryzeal plugin.
Plugin and no Ryzeal.
We'll see how far Carl chooses to commit here. If he's already given 2 draws, what's one more?
You know, it's funny, we're looking back at YCS Houston, where Carl's brother Pascal won with Memento. He said he played that deck because it had such a good matchup against Ryzeal. I wonder if he got a lot of his testing from just dueling with his brother.
For sure.
So he knew all those key points.
It's always a key matter, right?
Oh, definitely. And now Node Ryzeal is going to do special summon. He's going to send one of those little Charmies from the end of the graveyard to try and special summon back level 4. But that's going to be met by Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion.
Do you opt to use your Cross here, or do you respect something like the Veer of the Primal Being? No, we're just going to activate Plugin, allow the Ghost Bell to resolve. Going to be able to reborn the Sword Ryzeal and attach a material likely to the Duo Drive here, or maybe just play it under the Detonator, because why not?
Going to have to be able to get Ryzeal Plasma Hole underneath that Duo Drive.
Yep, the Plasma Hole also in the deck because you get it for essentially free now because you have the flexibility while having just more access to Cross. So back with the plugin as well as another name to draw a card off Cross.
you can tell Carl knows this deck well. Not a lot of thinking. It's kind of like he already probably looked at his opening hand when he got met with that balls. He decided the route he was going to take. This was already all decided by him a long time ago.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of players are actually just choosing to play into the target. It doesn't matter how many cards you have in hand.
Hey, if it works, it works.
We've done a lot of videos together. How are you feeling about your overall Yu-Gi-Oh knowledge thus far?
I always want to start with, yeah, I got this, because I'm unreasonably confident by nature. And then I immediately remember what happened in the last one, the one before that, and the one before that, and the one before that, and it comes to my mind that you are going to, like, do this thing where it's like, make me feel nice and cozy, and then you're going to be like, by the way, here's a summoning mechanic you've never seen before that has infinitely more text and more free resources than you've ever seen in your whole life. Is it good? And I'm going to be like, yeah, and you're going to be like, yeah, it's fine.
So here's a summoning mechanic you've never seen before. It's infinitely more text, and it's going to break your brain by the end of it. So much so, I brought out the good stuff, because if you have at the end of this video, I am going to need it. So, we are going to introduce you. This is a highly requested video that I have been hugging my audience for so long because they've wanted it. We're going to be showing you pendulum summoning. Do you know anything about pendulum summonings?
Nothing.
Oh, great.
Absolutely. I can't even. Do you have something called pendulum summoning? I did. No. I have avoided the comments. I have avoided the Yu-Gi-Oh players IRL trying to tell me about their cards. I don't know what this is. I have no clue.
Buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. It's gonna be a long video. So, we kind of been going in order here. I've showed you Synchro Summoning, I've showed you Z Summoning, I showed you Fusion, I showed you Ritual. Pendulum was next. This got released around 20...
Yeah, Ritual and Fusion came out at the same time.
A brand new set, Newest Alliance, debuted in Pendulum Summoning
in terms
mechanic.
of special summon monsters.
Anime at the time, which was Arc B, like the 5th series of the entire anime. Context, I didn't watch it, so I don't know anything about it, but let's just say this is a very divisive summoning mechanic, because this is where a lot of people started to feel that Yu-Gi-Oh!
No
is no longer
weaknesses.
Yu-Gi-Oh! So much so, I'm actually going to, instead of explaining this mechanic to you, I'm going to show you a video, because I think you need a visual aid to understand how this is going to work. You can tell me to pause at any time, but from there, we're going to learn about pendulum summoning. Are you ready?
I'm more terrified because there's a video. If that helps. Sure, let's do it.
This might be familiar, because you might be seeing a familiar face in this video.
See, bro, your editing's insane.
Oh my What's going on, guys? It's Zemo.
Oh my god, you got so much energy! Look at this face!
For context, I think this video is like 7 years old, so keep that in mind.
Oh my god!
Humble memes.
Dude, you're adorable. This is so cute. Okay.
You're like, it's my Irish side come out here with my
Oh, you are going for it. I love this.
Oh, yeah. Alright, you ready to learn about pendulum summoning?
I don't know if this is a real line.
Today, I'm going to teach you about pendulum summoning in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pendulum monsters are identifiable by their orange and green colored card border. So that's a pendulum card, CJ. I'm going to stop you here, just to give you a bit of context. Pendulum monsters are half monster, half spell card, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
That just makes sense on its own with no context of any kind.
We're gonna explain it, don't worry. 7-year-old Simo will explain it to you. Pendulum monsters are played in the main deck and boast a variety of unique characteristics that we're going to cover in depth. Let's start by examining the pendulum monster cards themselves. Pendulum monsters can be used 2 different ways, either as a monster card by playing it in the main monster zone, or as a spell card by playing it in the pendulum zone. Hey, you got that? Still with us?
It's got its own zone. And that's different from where you can play spells and traps? Or is it?
No, it's the same zone. It's either or. So you see that there's 2 pendulum zones, one on the far left, one on the far right. Those are either spell and trap zones. They are still considered spell and trap zones.
Is that the pink diamond one? Is that what you're talking about? As the zone?
There's blue the blue diamond's under the card here, then the pink diamond.
Tolerable.
Those are your pendulum zones, if you will.
And was this new at the time?
It's had just come out.
Okay, so there was no pendulum zone before, but like before pendulums, was this where you put spell and trap cards?
Correct, and you can still put spell and trap cards there if you're not playing pendulum. Right. I will divulge something much later on, but we're not going to get into it for the sake of this right now. I'm trying to keep this. While not in a pendulum zone, a pendulum monster is treated as a monster card and has its monster effects applied. Got that?
I was too busy listening to your totally hyped music. Something about monster effects.
So, when the pendulum monster is in the monster zone, okay, you treat it like any other monster card I've shown you, where the bottom box that has its effect, that is what is applied.
That is the text box we care about.
Correct. If it is in the pendulum zone, and I'm going to say this right after this video, you apply the upper text box, and the bottom text box is not applied. Okay. This applies to when a pendulum monster is in the main deck or sent to the graveyard as well. Meaning pendulum monsters can be searched with cards like Reinforcement of the Army and special summon from the hand or deck, just like any other normal or effect monster. However, when a pendulum monster is in a pendulum zone, it is treated as a spell card. While in the pendulum zone, its pendulum effects are applied and its monster effects are not. Also note that the pendulum monster's scale is also active while in the pendulum zone. Okay, so that's called a pendulum scale. The numbers on the left and right.
I have no idea what that means yet, but I will. Is past Simo
You'll find out.
Is young Simo going to bring me up to scale?
This is important for pendulum summoning, which we'll cover a bit later. Some other important notes about the pendulum zones is that as long as there is an available zone, a pendulum monster can be played there anytime you would activate a normal spell card, typically during main phase 1 or main phase 2. You cannot play one pendulum monster over another in the pendulum zone, and you also cannot set pendulum monsters in the pendulum zone as well. One unique aspect about pendulum monsters is that if they would be sent from the field to the graveyard, either as a monster card or a spell card, rather than being sent to the graveyard, it is placed face up in the extra deck instead. Got that?
What? So, if it's a spell card and it would be destroyed, it goes to the extra deck? Or no, the monsters either. Okay.
If it's either, so if it's a monster or if it's in the pendulum scale, instead of going to the graveyard like every other card in Yu-Gi-Oh does, it goes face up in your extra deck, and there's a reason for that we'll get into momentarily. But so you following still?
I love this
everything's still
guys. Like, it gives me full context about everything that we're talking about. Like really straightforward. Totally get it. I think I'm gonna subscribe to this one.
This contributes to the pendulum summoning mechanic itself, which we'll be covering in a little bit. However, if a pendulum monster would be sent from anywhere other than the field to the graveyard, it is sent to the graveyard instead. So, got that. So if it's not going from the field, so for instance, like if you're discarding it to the graveyard, in that case it would go to the graveyard because it's not on the field. Or milling it, correct, which I'll bring that up in a moment. Some examples of this would be if you use a pendulum monster as a discard cost to activate another card effect, or if you sent a pendulum monster directly from the deck to the graveyard. On that note, if a card like Macrocosmos is active on the field, it would override game mechanics, and any pendulum monster sent to either the graveyard or extra deck would be banished instead. Now let's move on to pendulum summoning. To perform a pendulum summon, you are required to have 2 pendulum monsters in your pendulum zone with different scales.
Okay, I thought so far. So the pendulum zone was either or? It can be either a monster or a spell in that zone? Or just a spell?
So when it's in the pendulum zone, it is considered a spell, so you only apply the upper text box. Correct. This is also when the pendulum scale is in effect here. And so these numbers are always the same. And the order, like, you don't have to put the low number on the left, the high number on the right. You don't have to do that. You can just simply, it can be either way. That doesn't matter. As long as you want to have different scales, like you want different numbers, and I'll get into why that is momentarily. Still with us.
So when young Simo says 2 pendulum monsters in the pendulum zone, but is also implied there is that they are spells in the pendulum zone, even though they're called pendulum monsters.
Correct. Notice the scale number for each of your pendulum monsters. This number correlates directly with the levels of monsters in your hand, and also pendulum monsters face up in your extra deck. Got that?
The level of monsters in your...
So, it'll make sense here momentarily, but basically, you're trying to get numbers that are bigger, or a range that's bigger, I should say. So that these numbers up here, this is a level 4, this is a level 7, that these will fit within that range. And you'll see momentarily why that matters. Does that make sense?
I guess I think I'll understand when I see more, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to have a 1.
It'll make
Now
sense
I
in
understand that the difference between the two is what's important.
By having pendulum monsters in your pendulum zones with 2 different scales, you are able to perform a pendulum summon. For example, if you have one pendulum monster with a scale of 1 and another pendulum monster with a scale of 8, you are allowed to summon any number of monsters from your hand and or face up in your extra deck whose levels are between 2 and 7. That makes sense.
Does it have to be a pendulum monster?
No, it does not, and I will showcase that here.
Any monster?
Any monster between levels, the 2 scales, you are allowed to pendulum summon.
Any number from extra deck or hand?
Yep,
For free?
for free, buddy!
What is happening? Okay, go. Roll it.
Forming a pendulum summon simply declare that you are going to pendulum summon. You are allowed to pendulum summon any number of monsters from your hand as you would like to your main monster zones, assuming their levels are between the scales you currently have placed in your pendulum zones. Now, with the introduction of Link monsters and Link summoning, if you're wanting to pendulum summon pendulum monsters from your extra deck,
I hate you.
just like with any monster being special summoned from
Die
your
in a
extra deck,
fucking fire.
those pendulum monsters need to be summoned to the extra monster zone. Okay, so does this all make sense? When you pendulum summon, you just say, just like you would take any action of like activating a spell or like activating a card or whatever, you just say you are going to perform a pendulum summon. So it's an extra summon that if you are playing pendulums, you are allowed to take in addition to like a normal summon or any of the other special summons, even though pendulum summons are still considered special summons.
I have a question.
Okay.
You get one of these per turn and you pick all the things that you get, or do you perform them one by one? Is each one a unique pendulum summon?
You get one pendulum summon per turn, and you have to dump everything in that pendulum summon. So you can pendulum summon one monster, you can pendulum summon 6. It's up to you.
Okay. Do you choose the order that they enter, or do they just all go onto the field at once?
They all go onto the field. And so there are cards that say, like, when a monster is summoned, you can destroy all monsters on the field. So, like, that would destroy everything, right? So there are, like, ways to interact with everything hitting the field at once.
Okay, this sounds so much okay.
Good? You still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I exist. I'm a shell of a human, but I'm here.
That's good. So that's pendulum summon. So, now that we are way past the point where we're getting an the fact that I'm not completely drunk yet, we are going to show you some cards that are pendulum monsters, and you have to evaluate if these cards ever got banned or not. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, let's do it. Do we get any more appearances from Young Simo in the video?
Young Simo is gone. Young Simo.
All right. Yeah, that's sad. I was really enjoying it.
We're going to start with the first one, which you saw in the video, as a matter of fact. I think this is a great place to start.
What the
Wow,
fuck?
the color actually looks insanely different from the image pulled off the website that is maintained, as I understand.
That's because that video is 7 years old and this card has been reprinted, so that's probably why.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more
Okay,
sense.
floor
I was
jump.
How much
How
different
annoying.
can the colors be? So this is the Arc
Only a little.
Eccentric, and it is a level 3, 800 attack, 1000 defense monster. Okay, let's learn how to say pendulum things. You start with reading the spell box or the monster box.
Either one. You can go just like in descending orders. You can start with the pendulum effect, is what we call it, and you can see it's a scale 7 as well. That's
sure.
Right.
It's a level 3, 800 attack, 1000 defense, scale 7 pendulum card, and it's the pendulum box says you can target one other spell trap on the field, destroy both it and this card. You can only use this effect of this card once per turn, and that's a hard once per turn.
That is a hard once per turn.
I always have to double check that I remember this correctly. Okay.
Correct.
And it is a feat, and it says you contribute this card, then target one monster on the field and destroy it. You can only use this effect once per turn. Okay.
So while it's in the pendulum scale, you can destroy it to be able to
Mining
destroy
spot?
a spell or trap your opponent controls. Or, if it's in your monster zone, you can tribute it and destroy a monster that they control.
Yeah, it's versatile removal, depending where you put it. That's fine, right? That's totally fine. But
It's fine, right? It's fine.
what I'm getting from the video is that you put this on one side in the pendulum zone, and you put something with, say, a 1 on the scale in the other pendulum zone. And once you've done that, you can summon any number of monsters.
Correct.
From the extra deck. Can't your extra deck have like 15 monsters?
So you're only summoning monsters from your hand, and only the face-up pendulum monsters that are in your extra deck. Yeah, you don't get to vomit your whole extra deck onto the... Yeah.
I want to clarify a question for young Simo. Okay.
Oh yeah, I should. I should be trying to fucking.
Wondering about that. Only the one that's. But see that. Okay, since you do it once a turn, the thing that's face up in your extra deck right now is the thing you can do. And then, is there a new card that's face up when you summon that card that you can do the next turn? Is that how the extra deck summoning works?
You can pick any of your sub-pendulum monsters in your extra deck to pendulum summon.
Do they start the game face up?
They don't start the game face up. They're in your main deck, so they will eventually make their way. For instance, Archfiend Eccentric, you play it, pop a spell and itself. Now it's in the extra deck. So now you can.
That's
starting to get it.
Right.
Starting to get it.
That's right. Yeah, it's. Are there cards that start in your extra deck that are pendulum summons?
No.
Okay, so it really is like you want to pop this from as a creature or from the battlefield as either one, and it goes to the extra deck face up, and then you can summon it from the extra deck if you have the scales.
Correct. Now you're learning. So it's more than just removal; it's recurring removal.
That's nice. That's fair and balanced.
It's fair and balanced, right?
Along with what's in your hand. And that
so you could hypothetically. Bring out Archfiend Eccentric, that will go to your extra monster zone. Remember, you can only place one monster there, so you'd have to pick if you have multiple things in your extra deck. But anything else in your hand, the 5 main monster zones, you can vomit them all out.
I imagine 7 is reasonably high. Not the highest, but pretty high.
For a scale, I will agree. Scale 7 is a good scale number 10.
Yeah, you can get good 7s for free.
Well, you can't get 7s. It has to be either lower, so it has to be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, depending on where your low scale is, or you can go higher. So if you have a scale 7, you can pendulum summon level 8s or level 9s or level 10s potentially. It cannot be the number on the scale. It's in between.
All right, yeah, less than or greater than, not less than either.
Depending on whatever the other scale number you have is correct. Correct.
I'm supposed to say if this is good. And
it's correct. I think you do both. You can evaluate both.
Oh no.
Can you see why many people wanted to quit when this mechanic got announced?
Can I see why people wanted to quit?
It's just so much information overload.
Yes, it's a lot. It's really a lot. And immediately I looked at this and tried to think of like the many different split cards, front and back cards that Magic has done.
It's like split cards done before.
You think so? Yeah. So like we have. Like, adventure cards are really popular in Magic, and they are basically half the text box is a spell, and the other half the text box is a creature, and you can cast one. If you cast a spell, it goes to the Adventure Zone, and from the Adventure Zone, you can cast it as a creature if you resolve the spell. So it's 2 cards in one, right? Or you can just cast the creature if you want to. Like those. People like those. Love them. Didn't cause any issues in Magic. Front and back cards. You flip the card over and it has a different effect because you did something on the front.
How do you
card
shuffle
the other
those?
side. Like, people love those. Magic loves those. For me, the thing that's like, what the, where the, how the, wah is the scales. Like, now it's like, wait a minute, this isn't just a self-contained thing with this card or a type of card. Now this is a new way to get everything.
This was a very divisive mechanic, still is. You will find out throughout the course of this video, I am very anti-pendulum. I've never been a fan of this archetype, or not even archetype, this summoning mechanic, solely because I feel like it's just, one, it's information overload. It's insane complexity creep, and I feel like it just takes so much of, like, think about some of the other summoning mechanics I showed you. I think Synchro Summoning, you add up the levels, one of them's a tutor, you play a guy, right? Xyz monsters. They have the same level, you slap them on each other, you play a guy. I just showed you, we literally had to take the first 10 minutes of this video showing you, like, how this works, and even then, you still don't fully understand how it works. The cards just interact in a way that are just so different from everything else, because it's like, they don't go to the graveyard, they go to the extra deck, but sometimes they go to the graveyard depending on where they go, and, like, there's just so many, like, exceptions and things that, like, mechanically you have to understand about them, that I feel like it's just so frustrating compared to, like, just other Yu-Gi-Oh! Mechanics in general, that, there's a reason why a lot of people quit during this time, because they saw that this is the direction the game was going, they were pushing for these cards to be busted as hell, potentially, and yeah, so it's, like I said, very controversial mechanic.
When you... So, this might be important or it might be stupid. When you do the pendulum summoning, does it get around other costs for other cards that say things like this can only be special summoned and normally require other things to summon it? Like Tumors or Xyz or like things like that. Can you play those with this and get all the benefits without the costs?
Yes, as long as the card doesn't say, this cannot be special summoned, or this can only be special summoned via X method. So any card in the game with a level is fair game at that point.
Okay.
Because we needed more ways to cheat stuff out for free.
Sure. Because part of me is like, maybe it's not as big a deal as I think because everything's free anyway, but then it's like, no, there's a bunch of these summonings that have very special requirements, and that's supposed to be like the limiting, like the guardrails. And this can break all of those if the card isn't worded a certain way.
For Synchro Summoning, Xyz Summoning, like, you're not Pendulum Summoning those out, right? But, you know, you get a bunch of guys on the field.
They're Pendulum Xyz, how do those work? I just realized.
So you can then make your Synchro monsters, make your Xyz monsters.
Those don't make
so much
any sense.
That the world was your oyster at that point.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I already hate it. I usually...
Yes, we got him!
Like 80% of these videos, I walk in and you show me something and I hate it immediately by nature. That's just part of the dynamic around here.
Unless it has to do with drawing cards.
Sometimes you guys bring me around. Sometimes you bring me around.
Or I show you Masterpiece. That's all it takes.
Sure. Yeah, that's stuff like that, right? Like, it's kind of like you're trying to win over a hostile audience in these videos as it is.
Oh, this one will do the opposite. And I fully realize that that's
Oh my god, yeah. This is... Immediately I hate it. Like, I don't want it to be good. I don't want to have to track this. I don't want to have to think about this. I don't want to have to build a deck around this. Like, there are cards that come out in Magic the Gathering that I'm just like, I can see that it's good, but I don't want to build that.
Yep. That's how a lot of people
I'm gonna get nothing.
Yeah, that's how a lot of people feel. Like, you see it's good, but even then you're like, I don't want to play it. It's just like, and that's the feeling a lot of people share.
And I'm trying to think about, is there a world where it's not as good as we think it is? And I think like the scales, it's like, is it easy to access the scales without the cards that you're playing being trash? I'm guessing in every other video we've done that is related to a mechanic, the answer has always been no. So I'm going to assume that
that's a good
just works.
Yep.
That they actually push this from the get-go. And every time they push something from the get-go, it's not fine. So immediately looking at this very first one that sets you in a tuning range, and is removal, and is repeatable removal, and is already a hated mechanic. I mean, when you tell me it's fine, it's going to be because things didn't turn out to be as good. I do feel like this is bordering on Yu-Gi-Oh! 2, and everything is like removal on removal that gets removal.
This is definitely where a lot of people feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 started, I want to say.
What I see...
Sounds like a terrible idea, let's do it. Nice. Where am I supposed to go? I guess there's still... We'll haven't fully explored this.
It's annoying. And then the levels to it imply that things could be broken. But this card, on its own, without other context, seems like a YouTube card. And I need to see more. So, I hate it. I wouldn't be surprised if it were restricted. I'm actually gonna... Oh, I hate myself. I'm gonna start with a not banned, but it's because maybe I still need to see more to really get it.
You're gonna let beatable... Okay. Final answer?
Yeah.
Arctic Eccentric's fantastic card. I mean, you can pop anything with it, just depending on where you place it. You can just keep Pendulum summoning it back over and over again, as long as you have something that's a 1 or a 2 scale, or a 0 scale, I guess. Because it does exist. As long as you're able to just bring it back out over and over again, it's just gonna pop a card for free. It goes back to the extra deck after it pops itself, so next turn, you just bring it back out, do it again, right? But you're right, this card's totally fine. This card's fine. It saw play, it was never, like, oppressive. Some decks, funny enough, actually that weren't even Pendulum decks, would play Eccentric just because of the versatile removal that it offered. Because there wasn't really a card that could pop either a monster or a spell and trap. That didn't come out around like very frequently, I want to say. More common in EPO2 that came around. But just a very flexible card, and it was good. It saw like plenty of play in like main decks and side decks, but it was fine. Like this is it's just a good card. It saw play in some decks. That's it. Like it was fine. You're correct. You're correct. You started off after 4,000 years. You got your first one correct.
Oh my god. Yeah. You have no idea how much I wanted this one. I can't believe I'm to the point with your game where just non-stop repeatable removal is totally fine. Like,
speaking of which...
Nope. Nope. Magispector?
There you go, right on the money. Half point.
Magispector Unicorn Kirin is a level 6 wind with 2,000 attack, 2,000 defense. It has the
scale.
I just did this. How did scale? Its scale is 2. Sure. And it says during either player's turn you can target 1 Pendulum monster in your monster zone and 1 monster your opponent controls. Return them to the hands. You can only use this effect once per turn. Cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's cards or effects.
And notably, Magispectors, the entire archetype, for the most part, the entire archetype, they got some support. The Magispectors notably do not have effects in the Pendulum zone, so the scale is still relevant. But they don't have effects in that zone. So that's just less text for you. That's your welcome.
Thank you. So when you put this in that zone, it's literally doing nothing but providing the scale.
Correct.
During either player's turn, you can target 1 monster in your zone. So if you play it as a scale, you can't. Can it bounce itself? Hold on. If you play it as a monster, you can target 1 monster in your monster zone. So if you play this in the monster zone and you're not using it for the scale, it can bounce
or you have multiple
itself.
copies.
Yeah, and you bounce an opponent's thing. And you
That's very blue.
Once per
You're
turn.
welcome.
It is very blue. Is it either turn? Either turn? Either turn? Like, and you can just play it again? What? Oh my god, that's annoying. And, like, yeah, you cheat this out using the scales, like you'd have a 1 scale and a 7 scale, and this comes out and you do that. If they actually do destroy it somehow, you get it again.
I will also help you out a bit. Anytime you're evaluating a card, and it's in a different archetype, so this is like in the Magispector archetype, assume that that archetype has, like, scales built into their monsters that are supposed to pendulum these monsters out to the field. So in this case, like, you're not seeing a high scale here, but like you saw Eccentric, it's a 7. That's generic. You can play that in anything, obviously. But assume that there are like Magispector monsters that have a high enough scale.
Get away from me.
Oh my god. This one gives me a bit of a reaction.
I was about to say, you did get a reaction out of this one.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like you would love to play with this card.
I have an appreciation for bounce. I think I've talked about that. I think it was on one of your videos. I was really, give me a bounce spell and I'll give you a win in a limited format, a commander game, whatever. Just give me a bad bounce spell, I'm ready. The reason I'm having this reaction is because in Magic in the last several months, a self-bounce deck has become so good in Standard. It doesn't just bounce the opponent's stuff, it bounces its own stuff at the same time.
Oh, really?
It enters and creates more value and creates loops. And it's a problem.
Sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh!
This immediately,
card.
I'm like, this is better than a lot of the cards in that deck. It's
Or
it can be targeted.
It's indestructible and hexproof. How do you like that?
Yeah, because part of me was like, okay, you just keep bouncing this to your hand, which of course can be really good and is a lot of versatility, but leaving this on the field isn't particularly risky either. So you can just bounce something else that does something else amazing next turn or protect something else from what could happen on the opponent's turn. Yeah, it can still be attacked, right? Or attacked through.
Yeah, you can still attack it. Yeah,
Alright.
It's indestructible in our games. It cannot be destroyed by opponent's artifacts. It can still be killed by battle. That would be a separate phrase.
But how does somebody get to do that when everything just keeps getting bounced?
Very funny you asked that. What a great question.
Oh, I hate it. Something about this is much more annoying. It's much more annoying. It also has much better just punch you in the face stats.
It's a quarter of your opponent's life. Yeah.
Yeah, it actually chonks you. The other card did not really take a bite out of you like this thing does.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm sure there might be loops or that just let this go on forever and make every turn so much worse. I hate this card a lot more. Was it banned? Let's see. We're still in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2.
Now, like I said, we're in Yu-Gi-Oh! 2. Like, I think a lot of people would agree Pendulum to the tournament.
It has so many red flags. It can't be targeted, right? That's disgusting. It can be done on either player's turn. In multiples, it's insane. It does have that hard once per turn, but it is each player's turn, which is so painful. And there is the frustrating pattern of going back and forth, and now you add into it the scale thing where it can just get cast out of the extra deck again if they ever do anything about it. This looks... I think there's a much higher chance of this getting banned.
Okay.
I'm ready to take that step in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I was about to say, or is Yu-Gi-Oh! That crazy that this card is actually just fine?
This card turns my stomach. I'm gonna make you guys show me where the line is.
Okay.
Because I don't trust my stomach on these. I don't trust my gut.
What's your gut say?
Crazy. My gut says, get this the hell out of any game. Get it away from anybody with human decency. But I'm gonna make you prove it to me. I'm gonna say not banned.
Final answer?
Yeah.
You're correct. It's at 3. After being banned for several years, fuck this card.
Okay. I'm actually kind of happy about that. I'm not even mad.
You should. You should.
Okay.
Kieran is a menace. For context, the entire Magic Spectre archetype has indestructible and hexproof, which is even more annoying. The only real limiter on this card is the fact that it can only use the effect once because it is a hard once per turn. But that doesn't matter because you can play 3 copies of this and Pendulum Summon multiple, bounce something on your turn, use the other Kieran to bounce something on the opponent's turn if you have to. And then if anything happens, you just Pendulum Summon the Kieran out, and it's like you're back to square one. This thing is so frustrating to play against, especially because anything from the extra deck that can summon, so a Synchro Monster and a Xyz Monster, those go back to the extra deck, right? That's like per game mechanics, that's how bouncing works with those types. So you commit the resources into it, they just bring out Kieran and just bounce it back, great, back to square one. Very, very frustrating card to play against. Also, you can't just tribute summon Kieran. Like, so if you pendulum summon a bunch of guys, you can just use one of those guys to tribute at the Kieran because it's level 6. So you don't even have to pendulum summon it out. Like, I mean, it's free if you want to do that. But in worst case scenario, you can just bring him out the old-fashioned way. That's totally fine. But, yep, card was banned for a long time. It's back at 3. They released new Magispector support relatively recently, so I think they wanted to, make a little financial.
Another really good mining spot.
The hell? Back to the format. Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this card is probably fine. It's annoying, but like there's so many better things nowadays that it's crazy to think that a card like this is nearly as good as it used to be. But still a menace. It's still a card that people absolutely despise playing against because fuck this card. It's so irritating to play against. If you're the one playing it, you're on top of the world because it's crazy. Also, fun fact, you can bounce your other pendulum monsters that have like effects when they, for instance, enter the battlefield or like on summon. So there's another Magispector, Bumbuku, it's a little raccoon. He has the effect that when he's summoned, you get to add any Magispector monster from your deck to your hand. So you can Kieran bounce the Bumbuku, and the next turn resummon the Bumbuku and get another search. So like you can actually just get more resources off of it while simultaneously setting your opponent back. It's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
Wow. Well, I don't know if you want to continue the series, buddy. We could wrap it right here. I think I'm just going to say everything's unbanned from now on.
Well, let's just say that's only the beginning, my friend. Let's just say that is only the beginning. Let's see what you think about this guy.
What the heck is this dude? Okay. Luster Pendulum, the Draco Slayer, is a level 4 light monster with 18 Fiddy attack and 0 defense. Had to get the Fiddy in there, huh? This has scale of 5, and it says once per turn, if you have a card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy that card, and if you do, add 1 card from your deck to your hand with the same name as that card.
I'll also help you out and ignore the monster effect for the most part. It is a tuner, which is something that you can take note of, so you can make synchro monsters with it. But its monster effect is you can only summon Draco Slayer monsters with it from the extra deck. So I will say, the Draco Slayer monsters in the extra deck are very good, but for the most part, you can evaluate this card just based off of its pendulum.
So it's going in the scale zone most of the time.
Correct. Yes.
Once per turn, if you have a card in your other pendulum zone, you can destroy that card, and if you do, add 1 card to your deck to hand with the same name.
I'll even be nice. I'll show you one of the things.
I was gonna say.
I'll give the full context. So there's multiple. I'm gonna show you the best of the bunch. They're all good for their own reasons, but this one is by far and away the best one. You know how synchro monsters work, so this should make sense.
Yep. If this is Robin, let's see who Batman is. Ignister Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer. Some high level. 28 50 attack. This is where power creep really became too much with the 50, you know?
Fun fact, there's the whole archetype, the whole gimmick is that they have like 50 more attack than like everything. That was actually very relevant.
Wow. Yep, 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner pendulum monsters is the synchro summoning effect. Once per turn, you can target 1 pendulum monster on the field, or 1 pendulum monster in the pendulum zone and destroy it. And if you do, shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 Draco Slayer monster from your deck in defense position, but it cannot be used as material for a synchro summon. I need to know the Draco Slayer monster is this.
Correct. There are a couple others, but this is the best one. And they have that restriction there because they don't want you summoning multiple Ignister Prominence. You'd be summoning the other Dracos. The one's an Xyz monster, one's an...
Oh my god.
They all have, like, the restriction to, like, only let you summon, like, or not summon, like, multiple copies. That's why that's there. And the other ones are, like, fine. Like, this is by far what it is.
This is getting so far away from, like, stuff I think I'm any good at whatsoever.
Oh, for sure. Why do you think you've been waiting so long for me to show you this?
Oh my god. So I love, like, examining cards within like certain card pools or contexts is the more you get into, well, this just gets you a thing that gets you another thing while doing this and doing another thing, and then it's like, okay, I need to know the other thing, and they're like, this does the other thing though, and this does that thing, and this goes and gets that thing. It's like, okay, but then you get that thing. The more I get into that, the more I'm just like, okay, pull it together.
I mean, people laugh at Yu-Gi-Oh!
Just give up.
But this is why we have flowcharts.
You're not wrong. I mean, I imagine that's actually content in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, no, it is. 100%.
You can target one monster on the field and one card in the zone, destroy it. Or one card in the zone. So, are you... It's like, which order? What came first, the chicken or the egg? What the hell are we doing here? If you have a card in your other zone, you can destroy that card. If you do, add one card from deck to hand with the same name. This doesn't go in the zone, though. In the pendulum zone. The Mr. Prominence doesn't go in the pendulum zone, right?
No, he's in your extra deck, and when you want to summon him out, you just bring him out to the monster zone. You have the materials, obviously.
When you have the scale?
No, this is a synchro summon. So this is where Luster Pendulum being a tuner is important, because you just use him, and any other level 4, or any other additional stars, and that's how you get him. So like I said earlier, when you can vomit out your hand, you can Pendulum summon a Luster Pendulum and another level 4, and a bunch of other stuff, and then synchro those into Ignister Prominence.
And, okay, if this is in, like, the scale zone, can it still be used as a tuner?
While it is in the scale, no. It has to be in the monster, because that's in the monster text box, so it's only a tuner when it's in the monster zone. It's not even
what I thought.
Yep, you're right.
I mean, so now that's just throwing me off, because I'm like, okay, it's one or the other, but you want it, like, in the scale zone, so that when you destroy something else that's in the scale zone, that you go get the thing, that's the thing again, and when you get this thing, then you also blow up and shuffle it in once per turn. You can special summon one monster from the deck, and then you get another monster. Like killing this gets that plus another thing. I mean, I can't say I get it. I just know there's a lot of it. I can't imagine the whole chain.
Well, you're just evaluating Luster here in a vacuum anyway. I just showed you Ignister just so you have like some context of like a bigger thing you can go into.
So, okay, it's my understanding now that I can turn something into a thing that also blows up another something while tutoring another something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that sounds right. That sounds right.
So this one card just, on the surface, very achievably, is like 2 more cards and a dead thing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And you know what's really frustrating, dude?
Sure.
You know what's really frustrating? I don't even know if this is unique to the game. Or this is just what everything is all the time. Because that's the impression I get.
I will help you out. We're obviously evaluating this if it's ever been banned. When Luster Pendulum was one of the first Pendulum monsters to hit the game, I would say he's a bit unique early on of being able to have this sort of effect. So, later on, we got more things that did it, but early on, he was one of the only, if not the best thing at doing this.
I'm picturing, like, the dragons, right, that you use as materials, and then you just get another dragon that does exactly what you need it to do, and then you get something else. And whatever that other mechanic was that was all tied together by that one tutor that tutored that did a tutor. So it's weird that something like this, it's terrifying to me, and it doesn't seem that weird. It seems like this is just what we do here.
That's what we do here. That's
but I'm guessing that, like, there was something built into the whole pendulum that made it even more. It was like, it's what happened before, but more so. Do I believe that they released a totally balanced mechanic from the top that did this kind of tutoring value loopy stuff, and then they got it perfectly right and never had to ban it? That's a good question to ask oneself.
What a great question, Steve. What a great question.
No, I don't believe it. Ban it. That's
Final answer. So Luster's crazy. So basically, remember that card draw in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very few and far between. Luster Pendulum is like card draw with an extra step. Basically, you can use Luster, and you can use any other Pendulum, right? You could use Kieran as an example, okay? You could scale Luster, scale Kieran. Luster would destroy the Kieran, sending it to the extra deck, which means you can add another copy of Kieran. Now, as long as you had a 7 or higher scale to complement Luster Pendulum, you can now Pendulum summon both of those Kiirans, minimum, and anything else that's within the level range, out to the field, right? That's just like a very basic example of something you can do with Luster. So essentially, it's giving you an extra card, but it goes to your extra deck first, and then when you Pendulum summon it, it's like you get the full value out of it. Not to mention, since you're playing Pendulum, it just infinitely recurs, right? Unless your opponent, like, banishes it or has another way to get it, like, off the field, it's just gonna never stop, you know, just summoning out to the board as long as they have their Pendulum scales. So, as a result, Luster was extremely powerful because it was basically just a tutor for any Pendulum monster in the game, but it was never banned. Never banned. It was limited to a singular copy. Mr. Prominence was also limited to a singular copy because he was very powerful. He's basically generic for any Pendulum deck. It doesn't require Luster Pendulum exactly. He just needs a non-tutor Pendulum monster. So he also got limited. But both these cards very powerful, but not banned. Not banned.
Should have stuck to the just nothing got banned, everything's broken, so...
You did say Kieran was going to set the tone for you, but then you backed off your guns.
I kind of did. I didn't want to vomit at reading that card. I just didn't want to play.
That's how people know. That's how a lot of people know.
So, this is like some popcorn chicken gone wrong.
It's an ice cream cone.
Oh, it is.
I mean, that's we call it the ice cream.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking of like the meat snacks they sell, like the big outdoor food markets, like in Europe and stuff. All right. Anyway, here we go. I get to read a new card. That's great.
He's so cute, though.
Performance. Flush fire. Sounds cute.
What is happy things?
I probably don't want to put smoking on your children's card game, but whatever.
Well, anytime they do, they censor it when it comes to the stakes, but that's a different story. Ooh, that'd be a fun video. Can CGB identify the censored Yu-Gi-Oh cards? Ooh, maybe we should do that. That'd be fun. What do you think, comments?
God.
Anyway, sorry, I'm distracted.
Attack is 1,000, defense is 1,000. Scale is 5. The pendulum part says if a performance monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your pendulum zone, then take 500 damage. You can only use the effect of this once per turn. A monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card. Are there a lot of this type? This is an archetype?
Perform agent, there's a lot of perform agents, yes.
Okay. And then the monster effect, I guess we'd say, is if this card on the field is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon a monster from hand or deck, except for this. So if you play this as a monster, and it goes something smashes into it smashes into something, you go get a Performage monster from the hand or deck.
Welcome to the Rooster Inn. Very well.
Another part of this combo.
A quick rest, right? Of course.
Did you? Performage? There's the Performage part.
Sign in over here, please. Well...
Just because it's fire? Say fire. Let me see.
Give Luster another one. Give Luster.
I don't want to.
Well,
okay.
Be careful out there.
Not special
No new dialogue for each of the new
Hello?
Using this card's material except for just like monsters once per turn. Destroy that card if you do. Oh, yeah.
Is that
so,
all you
yeah,
came
you have
for?
Luster on one
Next
side
time
of
you should buy
scale.
something.
If you want, you can
Let me have a
pop
look.
this. That's really funny because if they're both
Hello,
down there, you
everyone.
can't use them to summon
Won't you
anything.
please accept
But then you
this?
just use the effect to pop
Ooh.
this, and then
Hell yeah.
you search your library.
Welcome
you search
back.
your deck for this is control. If this were okay,
Is
so
there
you'd want to
anything
place
else?
this as a monster, and then you pop. No, because that destroys something else in the scale zone. What am I?
Oh,
I'll
we
be
have
out
this one.
here. I'll be out of there. If you destroy Plush Fire with Luster Pendulum, the monster effect triggers in the extra deck.
It triggers in the extra deck.
It's face up in the extra deck. That effect, the monster effect, will trigger. That's considered a monster.
Oh, okay. So this can be placed in the scale, but if it's destroyed and goes to the extra deck, you get the monster death effect.
Yep.
That is not something that would happen in Magic. Not at all. That is so... That is your rules? How does that make any sense? It wasn't a monster. Why would you get that? And just, like, what? That doesn't make any sense.
You're telling me, buddy. You're telling me.
Are they just... What are they doing? Was somebody just like, well, I guess I want
Who will
extra
carry this one?
from my extra deck experience? That's crazy. If this didn't go to the extra deck, if it went to the cemetery, like, you wouldn't get that, would you? Or do you?
You will trigger the graveyard.
So it's a monster in the graveyard or
carry
extra
this
deck,
one?
and because of that, you get the effect when it joins it, even though it wasn't a monster as it was leaving the battlefield or on the battlefield.
Correct.
It's synthesis you want?
I'm sorry, I have rule the lawyer's objections going on here. That pissed
You don't
me
think
off.
we felt similarly? You don't think we felt similarly, like how bullshit all this sounds? Like, it's just like they just decide when things work the way they want to. It's so annoying.
Is there a young Simo video that can explain this to me? What? He seemed like a nice, reasonable, energetic, young, like, I bet he could make sense of this, right? Did he make sense of this? Oh my god. This makes no damn sense. So this was new to you guys too when this happened?
Yes, like,
Oh
we
my
had to
God.
understand that, like, this is how mechanically these cards worked, and again, there's, like, a huge learning curve, and you run into people who didn't understand how they work, so you have to be, like, the bad guy to explain, oh, you know, sorry, this is how it works, and that got people even more infuriated. So, yeah, that's how it went.
I honestly feel a little vindicated. I was sitting here tearing my brain cells apart, smashing them off each other, but like, no, if you do that, there's no way you also get that. That makes no sense. That makes no sense.
Isn't that crazy?
Like,
That's crazy.
isn't the balancing of a card like this, like, I'm not much of a, like, rail on design guy. I really don't. I really do try to let card designers design cards, and I try to experience
Will this
cards.
do?
I, like, try to stick to that. I've never tried
It's
to make my
done.
own cards.
Please,
Oh,
take
I
it.
am. But, like, what are
Who
you
will carry
talking
this
about?
one?
Isn't the risk reward or the kind of the joy and the strategic decision of this card that you can set it to do roll
Be careful
X,
on your
or you
journey.
can set it to do roll Y. You shouldn't get both. That's ridiculous. Then what are we doing?
Like,
Hey there.
yeah, so,
Oh my god. I don't think
Which
I
one are
can
you interested
separate
in?
my visceral hatred from this card into a rational fan analysis. I just can't.
maybe you'll be signing
I
some
don't
plush
know if I
fighters.
can do it. I hope not,
Ah,
please.
that
Not only
one.
is it a red card, which I hate by nature and magic,
Oh,
it's
don't say
also
that. Don't
rules
say that.
infuriating. Oh,
I think we're gonna come and definitely make you
Which
sign
one are
that.
you interested in?
okay.
Ah,
this
that
card's
one.
great. Thank goodness
They're
we
still
had
gonna make
some
you sign it. It's not
talking
gonna
points
change.
today.
So is it banned?
I hope so. Let me think. I'm gonna try. Rationally.
I understand how it works. That's a good start.
I think so. I think I understand. You pop it with the other card that eventually got restricted. It hits the extra deck. You get another thing. Now
How
it's
goes
in
the
your
job?
extra deck.
Now,
You get
what'll
to
it
bring
be?
it back out when you play a different scale
Okay,
thing.
hear me out.
For all I know, this might even tutor for the scale thing you need to bring it right back.
Well,
Which
it
would be
gives
great.
another copy of itself. So,
No, you have another now. How long till you have
You
all
wanna
three?
ask around?
Like the same turn, probably.
yeah. Yeah.
So this one card is 3 of itself while being materials that does other things too.
Pretty cool, huh?
Oh, it's great. All right. Let's just say they restricted it and never banned it because you know what? That's probably fine.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Oh, they banned the fuck out of this card.
Good.
Flushfire was crazy. One
Good.
thing you
You
may
wanna
have
ask around?
missed, CGB.
I'm sure I did.
The monster effect, conveniently, does not have a hard once per turn clause on it. The pendulum effect, for some reason, does, which you were rarely ever using that effect. You were more so abusing the fact that you could just keep destroying this card. So, like, a hypothetical scenario, right? You go Luster,
You wanna
Pendulum,
ask around?
Plushfire. This is a very classic combo to
Hey
basically
there.
make you win the game, essentially. Luster pops Plushfire, so it goes to the extra deck. You then add another copy of Plushfire to your hand, and the Plushfire that's in the extra deck triggers special summoning a guy from the deck for free. If you have a way to complete your scale, this is a level 4, so you need something that's 3 or lower, because Luster would be a 5, it's still in your scale. play the scale.
You want to
Now you
ask
can
around?
pendulum summon out the Plush Fire you just added and the one that's in your extra deck and anything else. And let's just say there were other cards in this deck that could also pop Plush Fire when they're on the field. So then you
You
can
wanna ask
trigger the
around?
effects again, and you just get to keep abusing this card into the sun. This card got banned. They eventually brought it back because Performance did receive some new support, and they did errata it. The monster effect now has a hard once per turn clause on it, so they learned from their mistakes.
You're right about everything except the
Pendulum
slimy
and
part.
Tyrant was a mistake, so they didn't learn from that.
Is that did
wanna
they not
ask
want to
around?
restrict it because of the way that the card was already designed, and it would just kind of nuke that effect of the card?
I don't want to give you the full story yet because I have one more perform type card to show you. And then I'll give you the full context here. Eat the face of fear.
Performable monkey board.
I'm counting on
Did
you.
the anime have this?
Oh yeah.
People watch this? This
Ah,
is
it's
so-
you.
This is like
The Perform Mages and the Performapals, I am pretty sure were like the main characters archetype.
did people quit the anime during this time?
Anyway.
This just looks
Keep it
so
quick.
stupid. Okay.
See you around.
Level 6, 1000 attack, 2400 defense.
What brings you here to
Skill
Rada Hall?
1. L
Ah, it's
side is unless you have a performable card in your other pendulum zone.
Was
this
there something
card's
else?
Pendulum
You
scale
are free to
becomes
leave.
4 during your main phase. If this card was activated this turn,
Welcome
you
to
can
the
add one
Rooster
level
Inn.
4 or lower performable monster from your deck.
Sign in
to
over
your
here,
hand.
please.
You can only use this effect once per turn. If this card was activated this turn, what does that mean? Playing it in this, because this text only matters. Should I finish the card?